So, kind of easy to follow that idea, there is more. Y'all get that? I think y'all get what that means, right? There is more. However, it's not as simple as it sounds. There is more. So this month has been about possibility. And as happens for me, when we pick a theme, when I pick a theme, not like I ask your opinion, when I pick a theme, I work that theme all month, and it brings me clarity and focus and certainty about what it is I believe. As you know, classes have just started, and in my classes, there is a lot of discussion about this teaching. And what I love about it is that most of the discussion is a challenge to what we say we believe. So this concept of there is more, and even possibility, for me all month, has been challenging, and I've been challenging it. Do you really have the possibilities of life at your fingertips? Can Joyce really become a famous author at this point in her life? Where is she? I know you're all going to say yes. I'm going to say wait before you say yes so quickly. Because what you're saying yes to is a hypothetical yes. It's a possibility. That's a philosophy. Yeah, we all get it. It's possible. It could happen to anyone, yes? Yes. It could happen to anyone. But how does it happen? Why does it happen? And how does it happen? And how does it happen scientifically? Like, how can we use what we use, which is our mind, in a way that literally demonstrates what we are saying we want? Because I would wager that many of you here today can point to things that you wanted to demonstrate and you didn't. Anybody? Or even now, things that you absolutely want to demonstrate. I had to laugh, was it last week or the week before, when I said that I wanted to run for president? And people were, I think a lot of people are saying that these days, but it was funny to me because a lot of people came up to me and said, you really should consider this. And I don't see that as a possibility. But then I had to ask myself, why don't I see that as a possibility? Is it just because Kevin did say to me I'd be 90 by the time I got elected? I don't know. So this whole idea of possibility I'm going to talk about today. Week 1, I asked you all to find out how much possibility you allow in your life. Did you do that? Did you look at your life and say to yourself, how much of my life is possible and how much of what is possible do I allow into my life? Or am I just stuck with what I think I know, with who I think myself to be, and with what I expect the world to do? Or do I really leave room for possibility in my life? How much of it do I let in? And in week 2, I suggested that you cultivate an open heart and allow for more of you to come through. To really cultivate an open heart, an openness, to allow for more of what you think you know to be turned upside down. You know, we had a moment in Science of Mind in the practitioner class this week, in the second practitioner 2, where something was challenged, and I always laugh and I say, there was a moment when the class was hijacked, and we went into this discussion. But here's the thing, I love when that happens. It's annoying at the time, but because I usually have so much I have to cover, and I'm like, and here we go. Here's an hour discussion on the law of circulation. Okay, but in the end, it makes me a better teacher, it makes them a better student, and it makes me a better student and them a better teacher. And I have not been able to get it off my mind since then. Just, okay, so if you're going to challenge all of this, you're actually opening the door to possibility. If you're willing to challenge this teaching, really challenge it, and not just take it the way you took Catholicism or Christianity or whatever else you took all those years. No, this is not a science or a philosophy or a religion where you should be taking it spoon-fed and say, I get it, that's good. No, you should be questioning it and asking, what does this mean? That's when possibility shows up. Possibility for it to turn into something else. And I must say, the law of attraction works perfectly because I tend to attract those students who have a lot of questions. I know, I had to think about it for a minute. I was like, do I want that? Yes, I do want that. So Ernest Holmes said, the universal mind contains all knowledge. It is the potential ultimate of all things. To it, all things are possible. And then he said, as much is possible as we can conceive under law. It's that under law that's the caveat. As much as possible as you can conceive under law. There is a law of cause and effect that runs everything. It's the law of life. And you cannot fool it. You cannot trick it because it's just always saying yes. So if you think you're tricking it, it's saying yes, but it's getting you to the other side because it has to. That's just the way the law works. So as much as possible as we can conceive under law. And then last week I said, we shall never arrive at peace while we are dealing with a pair of opposites. And that's from the Bhagavad Gita. And I don't know about you, but for me, that really struck a nerve. It really strikes a nerve to me to understand how on earth do I think I'm going to create this when I keep entertaining its opposite? How do I think I am going to bring more prosperity into my life when I keep entertaining lack? I entertain lack sometimes like I'm bringing it to dinner. Anybody else? Yeah. So how do we think we can do that? Well, we cannot, because the universe is just going to give us back a mixed bag based on the mixed message we keep giving it, because it's always going to say yes. So if you're going to give it, I want prosperity, I want to be a world-famous book writer, but I don't know if I'm going to enjoy that. And so the universe says, great, let's give you something in the middle. That's how it's got to work. And don't be afraid. You should not be afraid of what's going to happen if you become a world-famous, book writer. I'm not afraid. I will be a world-famous something. I don't know what it will be, but I will be world-famous. I expect it. And you know what? I'm good with that. Because there was a time when I was a recording artist with Arista Records. And they did this huge video of me, and you can all go watch it. Just go on YouTube, put in New Hampshire Nights, and you will see a 1980s version of me that looks really hot. I fill out a pair of jeans back then, amazing. But I remember thinking to myself back then, oh my God, I'm not going to have any privacy. And I remember thinking that, oh my God, well, because I was gay, and yet you couldn't be gay back then, not as an Arista, not with Clive Davis. And, I was like, wow, I'm not going to have any privacy. I'm going to really have to be gay. So no wonder it didn't happen. I told the universe, yeah, no. And the universe gave me a lot of almosts. Almost. And when you see the video, you're going to say, as I do, how could this not have made him a star? So the answer is that. Because the law of cause and effect isn't going to say, I know you're really screwed up, but I'm going to give you this stardom anyway because clearly you should be. That's not how it works. The universe gives you what you decide, and it depends on how many opposites you decide to play around with. Truly, that's how it works. So the title of my talk today is Less is More. Less is more. Thank you, Barbara. Less is more. I love that we find these pictures now. I kind of want to climb up onto that beach and give this talk. So less is more. So I have a little story for you. So when I was in West Side Story, those of you that don't know that, hey, I have not had a West Side Story in a long time. And none of you heard this one before. None of you. So there was a guy as one of the Jets. I was the leader of the Jets, of course, and he was one of the Jets. He played Big Deal. And he was this actor who was so into everything. And it didn't matter if we were at a table read or the first week of rehearsal or the third week of rehearsal. All you'd have to do is turn to him. I think there was one line where I said something to Big Deal, and I'd go, Big Deal. He's like, yes! And I'd always be like, whoa, I'm a realistic actor? Can we try to tone it down a bit? But I never had to say that because Jerry Robbins would always go, And his name was Reed. Reed, Reed, too much, too soon. And so we heard that for all the weeks of rehearsal. Too much, too soon. Too much, too soon. And at one point, Jerry gives this, we're in Washington, D.C., right before we're going to Broadway. And he's still a little too much, too soon. And when we get into the cool number, which is my number, not his, I'm up there like, boy, boy. And he's like, So he has passed away, so I know you're listening to this. So we have notes the next day after this really big evening of Reed. And Jerry gives this talk in Less is More. And he's like, okay, y'all, he wasn't from Texas. He says, less is more. When you pull it back to reality, when you are authentic, less becomes more because it's more colorful. You can't keep throwing it out there like that. He says, and almost every single one of you is guilty of this less is more. We want to be drawn into this story. We don't want you bringing this story out to us. And he says, less is more, all of you. And he turns to me and goes, for you, less is less. I could use more. And I was like, wow, okay. So that night, I go out and I decide to be a little bit of Reed. I thought, I know what I can do. So I'm like, when you're a jet, you're a jet. I do this whole thing. At intermission, he's in my dressing room. He's like, what the hell was that? I said, you said I needed more. He said, I need more of less. I need more of you. I need more. I just need you to be fuller. Lest you think it was just all glamour. So the reason I bring this up today, less is more. This is a hard concept to get, to be honest. We as religious scientists are always talking about the more, wanting more. I do it all the time. I'm always, there's more for you to have. There's more for you to experience. There's more in life. There's more money. There's more success. There's more health. There's more for all of us to have. We're all playing too small. But what I'm not saying, go out and amass it all. I'm not. Because guess what? You can't. You can't go out and amass it all. You can't push it into being. It's not about that. The only way you can amass all that you are, the only way you can really get to that place in you where the more is opening up and expanding is when you really understand who you are in consciousness. Nothing shows up in the world that you are not equal to in mind. Meaning, you must believe it here for it to be here. That means every one of your beliefs are suspect to what is holding back the dam of more from opening. That's the only way to get there. When someone knows who they are, really knows who they are, I've often thought to myself, I would love to go back and play riff again. I mean, it'd be a little weird, but I would love to go back and play riff again with who I know myself to be now. The irony is that they saw it in me then, and I felt like a sham. There I am, this big butch leader of a gang. Probably the only time I've ever used the word butch with me. But, that's who I saw myself. That's who I saw the character as being. But I didn't feel authentic to it. So I understand now what Jerry Robbins was saying. Go deep inside and dig out the authentic truth of who you are, and the more of life opens up. That's how it works. This is not a science that you just say, okay, I'm going to be equal to money, money's going to show up. So I want to get clear on something about demonstration. Okay, we throw that word around a lot, demonstration. So here's what Ernest Holmes said. What do we mean by demonstration? He says, nothing peculiar, nothing weird, nothing that pertains to ghosts walking the earth. I don't know why he said that, but I thought it was a cool quote. And then he says, to demonstrate means to prove. How about that? To demonstrate means to prove, to exemplify, to manifest, to bring forth, to project into our experience something that is better than we had yesterday. So to demonstrate is to prove. Prove this teaching. Prove that you are equal to whatever you decide to be equal to in mind. So that's all demonstrating is. It's not about trying to get something. It's proving who you are innately. He goes on to say, when he says, project into our experience something better than we had yesterday. How many of you would love to have something better than you had yesterday, even knowing yesterday was pretty great? All of us, something better than we had yesterday. And it's not a law of averages. It's not. It's just, what are you willing to prove today? Prove in mind. Because he says, less pain, less unhappiness, less poverty, less misery, more good. That's what it is. More good. That is what is meant by demonstration. More good. Proving that there is more good. So as we close this month of possibility, good gets a bad rap too. Because if you think of good, you think of bad. When I talk about good, I'm talking about an energy, a creative energy. We call it good, but if good trips you up, get rid of it. It's just energy. It's a creative energy. It's a life force. And it is always, always expanding. So how much good are you willing to use? How much good are you willing to prove? Well, in order to do that, you have to be willing not to entertain its opposite and to eradicate what is opposite from your mind. You know what that means? Your conversations are going to change. You can't have those negative conversations with each other and still expect something good to come from that. You just can't. So think about this week. Did any of you have any negative conversations with anyone? Did anyone? Kevin just went. That was because I didn't like some of your choices, but no. No, he's talking about the negative conversation we had about a fixture in our house. So, and you're right, I probably should not have entertained the opposite. I should have just gotten what I wanted. So it's not only the conversation.
Let you think you got what you wanted.
I think that would go a long way to making me happy. As if that's your job. So it's not just the conversations you have with other people. How many conversations are you letting in? How often do you actually allow people to kvetch around you, to complain around you? I mean, that's really what this is all about. There is more for you to be equal to because the more is the creative energy that is infinite. Possibility goes in all directions. It is available to all of us. And it is your birthright. But you have to be willing to be it. Not just want it. You have to be willing to be it. To be the more. So I really want to disabuse all of us of this concept that science of mind is a religion where we get things. You know, I was discussing Buddhism with someone and the whole idea of detachment, and someone was saying, you know, your religion is it's like antithetical to Buddhism, because Buddhism is about detachment, and science of mind is about gimme, gimme, gimme. And I was so offended. I was like, well, I was a Buddhist. And I've chosen religious science because I do not see them as separate. And in fact, I believe that the detachment that the Buddha is talking of is the exact same thing I'm talking about right now to say less is more. I believe that in Buddhism, and this is what I was taught in Buddhism, that when I detach from all of my crap, that's a Buddhist term, when I detach from all of that gimme, gimme, I want, I need, I have to have, when I detach from that, the kingdom is open. It's all available now. When I detach from all of that. So detachment, I'm all for it. Detach from those things that keep us held down. Same thing in religious science. Don't just be trying to demonstrate things, trying to demonstrate objects, trying to demonstrate experiences. Go inside and be the experience, and then it shows up. Just be the brilliant writer. Just do the writing. You want to be a brilliant actor? Just act. Be the acting. Be that within that is authentic. That's why I say I would love to have an opportunity to act in something at this point in my life, to know what I know, and that I could just go in and just be authentic. That's all the universe is asking us to be. Prove that you are God, and everything is available to you. It's not the other way around. Prove that you know who you are, and then live from that knowing, and then see the possibilities that are open to you. You have everything you could ever possibly want already. It's all right here in your mind. There is more beyond. No, there is more beyond the cloud than meets the eye. There is more beyond all of it than meets the eye, because it's not about what the eye sees. It's about what the mind knows. Know there's more, and there will be more. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.